Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, October 2nd. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And boy, oh boy, fun times. Exciting day. Very good day in the trading room. I didn't do much after D period, believe it or not. We'll go over everything in a minute. First, a couple of things that transpired today that I want to talk about. Number one, bad tick all the way up here, 337.01. The high in SPY today is 335.92, which was F's high, which incidentally, I'm using F as an afternoon pullback low. Pretty rare you get the pullback and then a day's high in the same time frame. Also, just quickly, for those of you with triple Qs, look at all these bad prints. Theirs was at yesterday's settlement. Now, Qs kind of had an ugly little B shape, even though you like A to be the stem of it. And on the flip side, we had pretty much a P shape, except for these outliers in E and F for short covering. Value is lower all day. Tremendous move up from the opening to fill a gap that was very large. And then we traded 11 wide. So this is not 12 wide. We're 11 wide on the day at G's low. We traded in and out of yesterday's range every time frame except for A. So it was a market that I think was searching for what it wanted to do, especially with that news this morning with the president getting COVID. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty behind it. I mean, again, this move was because of that, right? Yesterday, we were one time framing up for 2 days. Now we're firmly in a 5-day balance. We stretched the bottom of the 4-day balance, right? So this is a 5-day balance. We filled, you want to know how mechanical this market is? We filled the weekly gap by 1 penny. 1 penny, that's a week low. 1 penny. Never got near the daily low. Still a fairly sizable gap. It's still 161 points. So it is utterly amazing, even though, I mean, volume right now is just on the average. We should do average or a little bit above with the after hours. So it's amazing, even with the, with the volatility and the moves today. It's all short-term traders. Look at this. Here's a couple of things that were very, very strange today. Right? First, we took out a weekly gap by a tick. Second, we had a ledge forming. Now, we only have one poor high, and that's L&M. ES's poor highs all over the place. 7 time frames. 7 time frames we traded up here and never took it out. So anybody who shorted this all 7 times from G on to write it down had a fantastic day, as long as they had a really quick out, because the longer this went, the more I thought if it was to pop it, we could get at least a short-term pop to the upside. Never happened. It never happened. So that's very interesting. As far as the day went for me, so A period. Opened. Basically happened an open reverse drive. We opened, went down, and then this drove. I did take shorts. Now, there was no way I was looking for long yet. I knew the market overnight was short, so I wasn't surprised this was happening. I didn't take a short right away, and when I did, I started at pretty small size. I started at 20, 30, then I went up bigger, and then at the high, I went up right around A's high on a quick 300. So I was long some pretty good size, because now my risk reward was pretty good. If we fill that gap, I'm out and I'm wrong. Okay, I figured this was just inventory adjustment. Well, when I took that big play, it came in beautifully for me and took them all off and had an excellent, excellent trade. And those were the 335 puts that expired today. I did those against yesterday's low, 335. There's no way I was going to buy like a 330 put or 329 to see if the daily gap fills. If I bought that and this happened, even way it came in, I would have lost money. But because it was in the money and I paid more for them, because it did get to a point where I took on some really good size and then backed off, that's all I needed to have an excellent trade. B period. Pops the top, starts running, fills the gap. I'm like, a lot of times that's all they want to do. So I'm like, the big thing for me is M's range. You know how I feel about M. Now I'm in like 5 or 6 tick increments. If we get accepted into M, then I'd get out. Well, we never got to it. I bought the 336 puts this time because since the gap was filled, my next real destination was M's low. So I did the 336 puts to give myself some room, and those also worked out like a charm. Then in B period, when it came all the way back in, I actually took a long. I bought the 333 calls, and I'm trying to think what I wrote here. I wrote B low. I took a call play after I filled. Oh, I know I did it. Okay, I forget sometimes. So I took that short. I did not, and another reason I took that short. The indices were down, values lower. I know we're one time framing up, but remember the way I say, we got to B's high pretty damn quick. And that was like, are we going to have a huge set of single prints with the indices down and value lower to start? I didn't think so. That's another reason I was comfortable with that short. Then I took the long. So it came in. I did not hold the short all the way down. I took it off. I think I took the short off probably back at around J's low, yesterday's low. And then I actually took a long saying, okay, I'm out if we don't have single prints, if A comes back in. And it did. I took a small loss on a 333 call. Then in D period, basically faded the top again. Took the 336 puts. It worked out. Came back in. That was it. And then I watched E and F, right? The algos got all agitated again. I was like, I'm not doing anything, right? F, reversal bar, rips out E's low, rips out E's high. G, couldn't take it out. H couldn't take it out. I'm like, okay. Finally, I took another put, just a small one. I would have been out. If we took out the day's high and started ripping, I would have been out. Took it. Actually, it was a small one, but I tried to walk it down and get to very visual points. Took some off at B's high. Took some off at yesterday's low. Took off some at POC. And then I was going to take the rest off if we got to A's high. Actually went back up. I took the rest of them off at B's high, and then it finally did flush. And that was it. I was looking to take shorts. I was tempted to take shorts at J's high, K high, L high, because my risk reward was good. But I had such a good morning that I was like, you know what? I'll just watch it. A lot of guys did it. A lot of guys made good trades. We said it became rotational. But I thought at some point, I really thought they were going to test and pop the top. Not that we were going to go ripping higher, especially as the POC got longer. But I was looking, actually, if they did rip it and come back in, then I definitely would have taken a short to go back to POC. Didn't happen. And that's fine. So it was a good day. It was an excellent week overall. So no complaints. After what I did 3-4 weeks ago on a Friday, I like to go home with a clear head, good day, good week, because the worst thing is blowing it on a Friday and thinking about it all weekend. Okay, let's go over destinations. Upside, 334.75, G's low, 11 wide. Then we have today's high, 335.92. And we have the perfect POC, right? It was a downside one, but since we gapped below it, it becomes an upside one. It's still a perfect POC. 336.88, 13 wide. Then we have the afternoon rally high. H's high of 337.65. And this weekly high of 338.74. Downside. We have the afternoon pullback low. F's low, 331.95. We have today's low, which is now a weekly low of 331.19. And then filling the gap, if I could find it, well, the gap is down to 329.58 from September 28th. Here it is. I apologize. Here's the weekly gap that filled. Here's the daily gap. So here's today's low. Here's the daily gap. Still is not filled. We are in a 5-day balance, right? We were in danger of getting sucked into this 5-day balance, but it never happened. We filled the gap by a tick and went up. But that's a weak low. That's something to keep in mind going forward. And then below that, we have all those single prints that I had discussed over the past couple of days from that trend day from September 25th. Now let's go to the charts. So 2 days into the month, nothing's really changed, right? It's firmly in balance. The monthly's going to take a while, right? Do we want to stay above? And I know I say right a lot. I have to stop that. I apologize. Do we want to stay above February's high? Absolutely. Well, right now we're down below it by pretty good, right? By $5. So right now we're firmly in balance in the monthly. Weekly balance. The gap is filled. And I'm going to come back to the weekly in a second because somebody asked me a question in the room, and so I want to expand on that. But we're in balance in the weekly. And then daily, we are firmly in a 5-day balance. Now, 4 out of 5 days, look where we closed below, the 50. We battled the 50-day moving average the entire afternoon. So every time we got up to those highs and we just missed taking out the previous time frame's high, we were getting above it back. But so, is this something to be concerned about? Possibly. But right now it's a 5-day balance. And if you do come out of that to the downside, well, then we're going to get accepted into this 5-day balance and close this gap. If we're able to get above the 50 and get sustained above it, we should come out of it to the upside. Now let's go to the weekly real quick. So somebody asked me, what am I looking for in the month of October? I said that's a little tough to answer because we're in balance in the monthly, we're in balance in the weekly, we're in balance in the daily. I said the monthly is too long a time frame, right, to try to get an answer. The weekly is too short a time frame to give an answer. But if we look, the daily, But if we look at the weekly, this is how I see October playing out. And I think this week is very important. If we take out this week's low, look at the previous week's low. That's that monthly low now, 319.80, and then those other 2 weekly lows that are very close to it. So if we take out this week's low and get any acceptance into the 21st range, well, then I definitely see us testing the bottom of this balance and possibly getting monthly low and these 2 weekly lows. So that's one scenario. That's why I think this week's low is very important. However, if we take out this week's high, but then the next destination is going to be these weekly highs. So 343, right, would be the I said right again, would be the high of it. And here's something which is even more interesting. If we get any acceptance above these 2 weekly highs, you know what the next destination is on a weekly? The all-time high. Now, I'm not saying we're getting that, but that's why I think this week that just finished is incredibly important. Acceptance. And again, it's not just taking out this week's high. It's not just taking out this week's low. Acceptance above this week's high, we should definitely see the 343 level. Then you would need acceptance above that to see, obviously, anywhere near the all-time high. And on the flip side, acceptance below this week's low, and there's a very good chance, right? This is a target on the bull's back, that monthly low and those 2 weekly lows. So that's how I see it. I'm not going to tell you sell will come. I'm giving you both sides of the picture, right? That's an educated synopsis or whatever you want to call it of what we're looking at here. We're in balance. A market in balance is waiting for more market-generated information, plain and simple. So it remains to be seen. Awesome week in the trading room, just about 200 strong. By the way, the Turn Back the Clock event ends tomorrow at 8 p.m. So if you want to get $50 in my room for the next 3 months, you have to sign up by 8 p.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, that's out. But it's still a bargain, more than a bargain, at $20 a month to get a live stream market profile, me giving you play-by-play what the SPY, ES, Triple Qs are doing on a day-by-day basis. By the way, we are 5 months now, 5.5 months. I haven't missed an hour on the microphone, let alone a day to take off. Nobody's going to be more dedicated or work harder for you than I will. Have a great weekend. Stay safe all. And we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.